The earth remembers what men forget. Varethos had languished under the Age of Shadows for a century. Once a beacon of knowledge, trade, and earth magic, it had fallen to those who bowed before the throne of greed and power. The darkness spared no one, neither the races who walked above, nor the ancient creatures who crept below. All were nearly swallowed whole, lost in the depths of despair, pain, and ruin. Yet in those depths there was resistance. Some still fought to break the chains of bondage, to overthrow their oppressors, to warn the generations yet to come. They cast their quiet supplications to the skies and whispered their hopes into the dark earth, into roots, into stone, into tattered clouds. The Stone Eaters, those that were still free of enslavement, had fled to the farthest recesses of the tunnels they had carved deep within the earth. In vast caverns untouched by light, they concealed themselves, silent, watchful, waiting. Yet even in hiding they were not alone. Through the quiet pulse of stone and thought, they still reached out to their enslaved siblings, speaking in the ancient way that needed no tongue. And to those of the other races who had joined the resistance, they offered guidance, warning, and unity. Threads of thought woven across distance, carried through root, rock, and will. And from the darkness came a vision, not conjured but remembered. It moved through the stone like breath, seeking those who would give it form before it was lost. The meaning is incomplete. Itherin's hands hovered above a nondescript stone, nearly waist-high and cast in shadow from a single torch. It is but the first shard of a greater stone. The voice that echoed in his head was deep and slow, like a mountain groaning in its sleep. Still, he did not press the symbols to the stone. But what of the rest? How will they know? We are Thamarail. The vision, though separate, is shared. The shards will in time be made whole. We are Thamarail. Thren did not understand, but he had to believe. Time was growing short. The torch flickered as if catching a small breath of wind. May the prophecy be fulfilled in haste. Varethos has fallen under the shadow, and the light grows thin. He pressed his fingers to the stone, whispered the words that echoed in his mind, the vision gifted from the Thamarail, the Stone Eaters. A dull green light glowed beneath his fingertips as he etched out the symbols, carving his piece of the message for whom he would not know. When root and rhythm intertwine, and stone is shaped by hand and heart, the seed of fate shall waken. From bond of earth and craft begun, the dark shall break, the deep shall sing, and what was lost shall rise. The etchings were complete. It was but one piece, the only piece he would know. Yet even as his fingers left the stone, the voice returned, slow and steady, rumbling through the quiet like deep earth shifting in its sleep. The stone remembers. Though scattered, we remain. Let the deep carry it where the waking seed waits. Thren turned. The Stone Eater's hulking form loomed, barely visible beyond the reach of the torchlight. Its sightless eyes betrayed neither thought nor emotion. Take it. Thren stepped back, his voice low. Do what must be done, and let not the shadows find it. There was no answer, only the sound of the Stone Eater stirring. Its clawed limb extended with slow inevitability, each segmented joint scraping like stone grinding against stone. Ancient grooves traced its surface, as if time itself had carved its shape. With measured, deliberate motion, its great hooked talon curved inward, cradling the stone in an embrace as firm as the bones of the world. The shards will in time be made whole. The Stone Eater withdrew. Fading into shadows, it turned and vanished into the tunnels, taking with it the stone, the vision, and the last fragile hope of the prophecy. The torch that lay on the cavern floor flickered again. The shadows drew near. they had found him. Ithrin sighed. So let them come. He retrieved his spear from where it rested against the wall. Setting his feet apart in a steady stance, he struck the shaft against the stone. Once, twice, then again. A slow, deliberate rhythm, deep as the pulse of the earth. Thoom, thoom, thoom. A hum rumbled in his chest, low and steady, a song carried by those who stood before the end. The melody of the death knell. Cloaked figures slipped into the cavern, their forms wreathed in shifting darkness. Faces flickered between bone and flesh, half seen, never fully either. Each carried a pair of long daggers, blades catching the dying torchlight as they moved into a slow, deliberate formation. A semicircle, tightening. Thoom, thoom, thoom. Ithrin stilled, fingers tightening around the spear. He exhaled. Come then, Thren. Let's see if you bleed. The first moved, a blur of blackened steel. Ithrin met it with a sidestep, driving the butt of his spear into its ribs, a hollow crunch. The figure staggered, twisting in an unnatural spasm before collapsing. Another lunged. He turned the spear, catching the dagger's downward arc and wrenching it aside. A sharp thrust, blade piercing shadowed flesh. A shriek followed, guttural, warped, not fully of this world. But there were too many. A dagger tore across his side. Another found his shoulder. He spun, drove his spear through one last foe, before something cold and jagged punched through his chest. The dark shall break, the deep shall sing, and what was lost shall rise. Ithrin dropped to one knee, his grip loosened. Blood pooled at his feet, soaking the cavern floor. The last flicker of the torchlight died, and the shadows moved in to claim him. One of the Thren knelt beside him, blade still wet, its form rippling between sinew and bone. From beneath its hood came a whisper, dry and cracked, like dead leaves dragged across stone. The shard is gone. Another hissed behind it, voice curling in the dark. He gave it to the Thamarail. The first turned its shifting face toward the tunnel where the creature had vanished. Then we hunt them. The prophecy must break before it wakes. No light remained. Only the scrape of retreating footsteps and the lingering stench of blood and shadow. But the earth remembers what men forget.